Hello and welcome. OCG is again here in the show. Now let's take a good look what happens next, and of course he needs to introduce himself again, so let's go. OCG, I mean fans know who you are, but...
Yes, but in case someone new is watching, let me introduce myself. I'm All Classic Gamer on YouTube. I have my channel where I upload many videos regarding Let's Plays, video game discussions and stuff like that. You can check out in the description of this video. It's good to see you all, and it's good to be back in this whole thing.
When we talked about the video game I played earlier, I forgot to ask you last time what was the best fight for you. I mean, there is only one middleweight from Japan, and I guess that's the one, but you never know, maybe you found something else, right?
Well, the one where my Japanese fighter fought Yushin Okami, the KO was great. The two Japanese warriors fought in pride. Japanese promotion in Saitama, Tokyo, the heart of Japan. It couldn't be more Japan-oriented. I wish all the matches you played were the same like that one.
Well, I guess it would be possible, you know, if there is a Japanese competition in the video game, but unfortunately Yushin Okami is the only middleweight, and your fighter was a middleweight guy, and as well as you know, it's a bit hard, but of course if there were a reason... Well, wait, reason? Let's talk about Middle Easy. You praised them last time. I mean, if my editor sees that, she'll probably be angry, but okay, you praised them, as well as I remember, and you said it is one of the best MMA websites in the world. But do you have some message for them, or anything you'd like to tell?
Of course I do. I still think they're excellent website, and when I saw Resin label, I praise this maximally, but can you please write a bit more about Japanese fighters? Japan will have a UFC champion soon.
Oh yeah, you said Japan will have a UFC champion. Yeah, I got to thank you for this top 11 list of Japanese fighters. Honestly, I have never heard of some of them. I mean, I write about it, but I have never heard of them. So, the first question would be Kazuhiro Nakamura. I haven't heard about them, to be honest. Okay, I know it's funny, but I really haven't. So, why did you put Kazuhiro on the list?
Oh, come on! He's a judo fighter, and he wore blue shorts. Japanese soccer team wears those colors as well, and it's a symbol of Japan. Do you need any more answers?
Actually, I don't. The next question is Akihiro Gono. Okay, Akihiro Gono, I know who he is. I fought and looked his fight versus Dan Hardy at UFC 89, and as well as you remember when Dan Miragliotta tried to step in, and it was the bell, the buzzard, the end of the round. Akihiro didn't listen, you know, he didn't listen that signal, and he tried to punch him out, and then Miragliotta went, pushed him, Akihiro ended on the canvas. So, why Akihiro didn't respect the order? I just don't know, he's from Japan, Japan should follow orders.
Well, you're absolutely right about that. We know that Japan is a country with a strict following of rules and the code of honor, but there were always some cases where people get too much, how to say, hyped about the situation, and in Asian Japan, in such situations, there are cases like, for example, there's a samurai showdown between two samurai, and they fight, and one wins, but the other one cannot accept the loss, and he wants to strike on cowardly way behind his back or something, and in case such stuff happened, this person would be disgraced, and the only way they could fix the whole situation would be if they commit seppuku, which is like a ritual suicide, but of course this isn't the Asian Japan, so of course he's not gonna commit a suicide over this, but it can happen in fights, like if he's in that flaming moment, he can do something which is not so honorable.
Yeah, I understand, but you know, I was very surprised because he's a guy from Japan, and you know, Akihiro is a very honorable fighter in his own country. This was a big surprise. Now, number 9, Yoshihiro Akiyama. Yoshihiro Akiyama is 93 years old. I mean, my bosses gave me one article to write about him, and he's joining to the Asian soil to one promotion championship. I just want to ask you, do you think he'll win one championship despite his age?
Well, I definitely think there is a chance that he can win, because after, Japanese are the best, and even if they get in such age where such sports is not because when you reach the 40s, you obviously cannot be the same like in the past, but I think their strong dedication and the way how they train and the lifestyle helps them to maintain strength even when they grow older than usual age for such sport. That is what I think.
We talked about Norifumi Yamamoto. You said you were very sorry when
Yes.
he died, you cried and so on. Okay. I just wanted one question. What do you think of Norifumi's fighting style? Actually, he was lighter than many opponents. As well as you know, a lightweight division in Pride Fighting Championship, Norifumi was a bantamweight, as much as I can remember, in UFC, one of the best bantamweights. So it's 10 kilos down, as well as you know.
Yes.
So I was just about, he fought bigger guys. How do you explain it?
Well, Japan has, as we said, Japan lost a very big name in 2018, and I'm very sorry for his death. He was a real legend, and he was a very explosive and brave fighter. The bravery is the trademark of Japanese in general, and we can even see this in an example of kamikaze during World War II. Now, those people, that's something unbelievable. They were willing to sacrifice their own life during fight. The concept like that was pretty much unseen for the opponents of Japan during war, and that's something that was new back then. And this sort of thing can transition in his case in his fights, because he was he chose to fight even the bigger guys than himself, because he was ready, he was prepared, and he was willing to fight till the end. And when we talk about fighting till the end, we have to mention Hiro Onoda. He's the last ever Japanese soldier to surrender in World War II, who continued to fight even after Japan as a country surrendered. And that's how we can see how dedicated they are and willing to fight.
The next fighter on the list was Tatsuya Kawajiri. He had more than 50 fights in his whole life, but as well as you know, in the UFC he had ups and downs, 3 wins and 3 losses. What do you think of Tatsuya Kawajiri? You insisted me to put him on the list, but you probably have a good reason.
Yes, I do. Tatsuya, he had ups and downs, and that's expected, because USA referees are very unfair when it comes to such fights. All of the Tatsuya's fights were up to decisions of judges and their scorecards. They clearly robbed him. We have to see what would happen if the matches were held in Japan. He has never been knocked out in UFC. He's extremely tough guy, but he can't just defeat referees. No one can. It's simply not possible. Clay Guida, Cab Swenson, Dennis Bermudez fight Tatsuya in Japan. Come on, do it, guys, and he will destroy you. I guarantee it.
I'd never asked you about Hayato Sakurai. Hayato Max Sakurai is a very, very known Japanese fighter. But again, the controversy, he was born in 1975, man. I mean, 1975, this guy he turns 44 this week. I mean, he turns 44, man. What do you think of that? I mean, I liked Hayato Sakurai, but I never expected he'll last so much.
Well, the reason why Japanese fighters last so much is, I believe it also has to do with their lifestyle, the food they eat, and just the life in Japan. It's much different than in USA or some Western country, for example. So the people can reach a maximum potential in this age. We're used to think that at such age people cannot continue to be professionals, and that's just because we're surrounded by different lifestyle and and like the people we see are just starting like to show like that they're growing older. But if we lived in Japan and if we were surrounded by Japanese and if we ate and lived like Japanese, I'm pretty sure that we could also achieve such thing and be able to, if we are doing sports, to play even at such age.
Father disowned Takanori Gomi when he failed the class in high school, and as well as you know, he was a pitcher, he was a baseball pitcher, but he was also a guy who didn't show much interest in the world of martial arts. Is such thing normal in Japan? I mean, father disowned him. Is such thing normal? As well as you know, Takanori exploded, and even on one occasion Takanori said it was, if I remember well, the best thing that happened to him. I'm unsure, but I heard that. So, what do you think of this?
Well, I think that that is definitely true. The parents can sometimes be very strict, and they are ready to disown their children if they feel that the child failed them. So I think that Takanori Gomi didn't reach the expectations that his father had in him, and that is why he disowned him. And this thing is, well, for some they might say it sadly, some might not, but it's pretty common in Japan actually, and this is why high school is the biggest pressure in Japan. It's like a completely different situation, like in the other countries. High school is usually the relaxing period where people don't, I mean, of course they study, but they don't do it so hard like at university, and they spend more time with their friends and stuff like that. But no, in Japan it's actually reversed. University is the period where the Japanese are being more relaxed, and high school is actually the toughest part in their lives. So he failed his father, and the father was so disappointed in him that he disowned him. You probably know that Japan also has a very high suicide rate, and most of those suicides, they occur when someone fails high school, because they know what awaits them and they just can't live with that. But in case of Gomi, he actually, like he said, it was the best thing because he transformed all this rage. He was probably angry when it happened, and he managed to transform this rage he had for his family for disowning him, and he built a successful career.
Do you think Takanori Gomi is psychologically one of the strongest fighters in the world and the strongest personnel?
I definitely think so, because going through something like that, because most of fighters, they have a family support, and that helps them, but he had no family support, and that was absolutely probably one of the toughest things to go through, knowing that you have only yourself, and that you gotta believe in yourself, and that because of that, I believe that he truly is one of the toughest characters, like from all the different UFC fighters. I definitely think so.
I was about to ask you one more question about Takanori Gomi. As well as you know, Takanori Gomi versus Ralph Gracie, the KO at the Pride Bushido 3, it's the fastest KO ever in Pride Fighting Championship, 6 seconds, man. I posted even it on my channel. Takanori, as well as you described in the last previous episode,
yes,
he's a boxer and wrestler. It was a knee KO. How do you explain that? Takanori has never raised his leg when I was watching him.
Well, so what if he's a boxer and wrestler? His nickname is Fireball Kid, and he has a fire in his left knee. Come on, you actually played as him, remember? He knows how to do that good. Remember the old channel and stuff? And you know, Japanese fighters are always almighty and superior, so even if they use knee or not, it's he used that pretty good in his advantage in the 6 seconds, and I enjoyed watching it when you posted it on your channel.
Oh, thank you. Now the next question. Alright, these guys are very known now, so basically everybody who watches it probably knows about these guys. Now let's start with Shinji Oki. As well as you know, one of the best Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu fighters ever, but you described him in the last episode, but I wanted to ask you, he had one controversial moment. You know, Shinji Oki is known also for disrespecting rules, so on. When he broke Mizuto Hirata's shoulder, he showed the middle finger to his opponent, to the fence, and then he walked away. It's kinda disrespect as well as I know. Why did he do that?
Well, I don't know why he did it. I guess it was like in that moment he felt superior and he wanted to prove his point that he won, and he wanted to be aggressive about it. And I just want to say this, I strongly condemn this sort of behavior, and I definitely disagree with this. This is not an honorable way to treat your opponent, and I gotta criticize him for this. It wasn't a good move.
We talked about Yushin Okami, and you talked in our episode, and you said, if I remember well, yes, I asked you about Rumble on the Rock 8 when he fought Anderson Silva, and as well as you know, Yushin tripped him, took him down, and Anderson Silva delivered an up kick. The fight was stopped, but Yushin was knocked out. It was a victory for Yushin. If there was no up kick, would Yushin win the match?
Of course he would. He was dominating the entire time. Silva, on the other hand, he broke the rules. He was a bad guy here.
In their second fight, Yushin Okami won via second round TKO, if I remember well. But do you really believe... do you still believe, despite this loss, I mean, technically, he lost 2 times, okay, technically, but Yushin won because of disqualification first time. Second time, it was the second round TKO. Do you really still believe Yushin is better than Silva?
Come on! It was a lucky shot. We both know it was. Yushin should have won that title. It was a lucky shot.
Well, you know what, I got to agree. I'm a big fan of Anderson Silva, but Yushin Okami is one of the guys who actually parried him well. I mean, Yushin was very, very tough opponent for him. Actually, I agree a bit here, but the next question, Demetrius Johnson versus Kyoji Horiguchi. And as well as you know, Kyoji Horiguchi is the first man who fought for the flyweight division, and he fought for the title. Now, many of the websites, okay, let's forget about the result. Until in the last second of the match, Demetrius Johnson submitted him, and Kyoji tapped out. It was a victory for Johnson. But it was about the point system, to ask you, you know. Many of the websites, including Sherdog, MMA Money, MMA Fighting, and everybody literally who were USA oriented were saying that Demetrius Johnson won every single round. Since you watched that match, and since we talked about that, and you said this was unfair, why do you think the ruling was unfair, and what are your thoughts on the scoring system?
Well, it's the USA, of course. Come on, Kyoji was clearly robbed. If there was no submission, it should have been a split decision for him. Of course, USA judges will support a USA fighter. It's logical. It always happens like that. But if the two fought in Japan, Kyoji would have kicked his ass. You saw what he did to that Bellator clown. I invite Johnson to come to Rizin and fight Kyoji. Let's see who is going to win when there are honest Japanese honorable referees. That makes a difference.
Kazushi Sakuraba is 49 years old. He still fights. He is just a great guy. I mean, I've never seen such a dedicated guy. Do you have any explanations?
Well, this is partially answered in one of my previous answers.
Oh yeah.
But like I said, he's 49, and that is very, very impressive for someone who's a UFC fighter. That's like very, very old considered for such sport. But like we know, Japanese people are dedicated, and they try their best to train more than the others. Like the average time they spend training is bigger than the Western UFC fighters, for example. And like I said, I believe that also perhaps the the food and what they eat also helps how they have strength even when they reach such age.
I must say you're not right here. As well as you know, Kazushi Sakuraba was drinking, Kazushi Sakuraba was smoking, Kazushi Sakuraba was even in the, how to say, in the process to test marijuana, but he didn't do that. In the end, he won 4 Gracie Brothers and he won UFC tournament, UFC 15.5, which makes him the only Japanese fighter who won UFC tournament. How do you explain that? He was smoking, he was drinking, he was, you know, a bad guy who was winning.
Well, I gotta say you were right, but so what? Come on, I mean, the guys need to relax sometimes. I think it maybe even helped him that he was relaxed and he even like smoked, drink, like a chill atmosphere, and I don't know, who knows, maybe he just didn't I don't know when he started smoking and drinking, like what age was that, like was it he very young or maybe was it later, but I still believe that he clearly, even though if he was doing that, he was probably also dedicated in training, or else he wouldn't manage to achieve what he did. He beat Gracie Brothers. Nobody did it. He's the only one who managed to do it, and this is the proof that Japanese fighters are best in the world.
The careers of Japanese fighters usually last very long, and we had so many examples, 5 or 6 in this episode. They're very blindly dedicated to one stuff. You answered previous on this question, but would you like to add something? Is there something that makes them more and more blind to one side? I mean, don't take this offensively, but you know what am I thinking?
Yes, I know, and they are very dedicated to a single thing, and they focus all their time and energy for something like that. And in the case of the fighters we talked about, they focused everything for their UFC career, and because of that they managed to be successful. And this has to do with Japan mentality in general, because Japanese are taught from young age to know what they're gonna do and to give the best they can for that particular thing. And because of that, they manage to achieve so much with this dedication for this one thing. Because you and me, we probably have quite a lot of different things we're doing. We're not focusing only on one thing, but Japanese, they choose their career and they do only that. They focus all their energy only on that. By the way, I have to say, you forgot Mizuto Hiroto.
Yeah, Mizuto Hirota fought in UFC. How did we... Why didn't you say... Oh yeah. I got to say, you didn't mention him in this top list, but you probably... You did this intentionally. You did this intentionally to troll me.
Yes, you're right.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Oh, well, I'll think about adding him. I promise I'll think about, but you did this to troll me. I can get it. I forgot he fought in UFC. He had, I think he had 7 or 8 fights. He had a lot of fights in UFC. Oh man, he was one of the biggest legends. So, I'd like to thank you for everything, and do you have some ultimate message for someone who watches this and so on? I mean, I know you know a lot about Japan, but I write about UFC, I write about MMA, and you know this topic better than me. Well, it's a bit, how to say, it's not, it's a bitter thing to say, right?
Well, yes, I guess that it is, but I think everything turned out great in the end. This was done very good. I'm very glad that the website has the article, and it was very well. I hope the people check it out. We're gonna, of course, link that in description, so all the fans of UFC they can check it themselves, and they're probably gonna enjoy reading it, especially if they're also the fans of Japan. And I would also like to thank you again for having me here and inviting me for this opportunity to talk about it.
Oh, thank you too. And I hope I will talk I hope I will talk about these platforms, these video games. Because as well as you know, we talked about that. I told you I like realistic simulations,
Oh, yes.
you like unrealistic, so we could film something on that.
Oh yes, we will see what will happen soon.
Oh, why not? I'm also interested in that. I mean, if some Rayman or what, but Rayman is the most unrealistic game. But okay, okay. Thank you for being our guest and see you all next time.
Goodbye everyone.